videos Nice.
All right. Yeah, there's something wrong with my other laptop. Yeah, now we're here. How's everybody doing?
All right. We're loving life, man.
Right on. Good to see y'all.
All right, great. All right.
We're live. We're going. KP, you got audio?
We're live. We're going.
Yeah, there's something wrong with my other laptop. Okay. Looks cool. Y'all are in Fresno, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
The home of the big money.
Beautiful scenic Fresno.
Good
All
stuff.
right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started. This is Mr. Rob Hayes, good friend of mine, military veteran, Marine Corps. More importantly, he's a good dude. He's a family man. He's doing things the right way. He's not just out here promoting stuff just to be promoting stuff. He also did invest in himself, going to a recording school, going to working for the top executives of Hollywood at Live Nation. He's done a lot of things, and these are people who have done concerts for Madonna, Jay-Z, Beyonce, the top people. So throughout that time, throughout that experience, he's learned something or seen something that maybe we need to know. And we don't even know we need to know that yet, but maybe throughout today's conversation, we'll just take a few notes and get to know each other better. The whole point of today is, I'm like, you know what? I know Rob. He's a cool guy. He's a well-connected guy. I know a few people in Fresno. I got to start connecting these dots. Because Mike might have something for Rob, Saul might have something, Jaime might have something. I don't know who's going to have something for each other, but we can all eat pretty good. The pie is huge if we just kind of give each other, if we know what everybody wants. If I know what type of referral to send to you, and you know what type of referral to send to me, we can all help each other a little bit somewhere, somehow. So in this particular case, don't think about, well, I'm not a rapper, I'm not in the music industry, why the heck would I need Rob Hayes? A lot of the people who we deal with as filmmakers are going to be music people, and they're going to have these types of questions. And the way we're going to secure our deal, the way we're going to make that money, the way we're going to close that deal is because us as the content producers also know the digital distribution platform for the music. We're adding a lot of value on the marketing side of things. And even though we're not the guy, we know enough to have a conversation to close that deal to say, you know what? I'm going to do you a favor and put you in contact with my guy, Rob. But now we have that. We're leveraging. Remember yesterday's conversation? This is all about leveraging Rob's experience, leveraging Rob's connections with our next deal. And maybe Rob could come in and make some music for us on that project. Maybe Rob can come in and do some audio mixing and mastering. Maybe Rob could come in and use some of his lyrics for a few of our scenes in that project. That's the whole point of the leverage, okay? So without further ado, a very highly respected person in my life, in my entertainment business career, Mr. Rob Hayes. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, George. Looking good, George, man. Food of the booted. I like it, man. So, I got started. Well, I have to go back to the beginning of my journey. I graduated from high school in 2004. I joined the Marine Corps in 2005. When I did that, I had already been a popular artist in Detroit as a rapper. I had been making music since I was about 14, 15 years old. And I had gotten the attention of a producer named Jay Dilla, JD. He passed away in 2006, but he was a really big influence early on in my life. And he helped me to see some things about the business that I hadn't necessarily seen coming out of Detroit, because coming out of Michigan, period, it's not a really big market for music. I mean, we get all the big concert tours and things like that, but it's not like New York or Los Angeles or Atlanta where you could just walk out your door and just meet any old body and get some serious connections going on. You got to fly out of your city to go and do anything from that place. And so I joined the military because there wasn't a whole lot going on in my city. And I just want to get out and travel and see the world. And I was anxious. And I just always kind of knew I was going to serve. I just didn't know when. But I just took it up on myself to make that decision when things weren't going well in my music career. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2008. And then it hit me at that point. Then I had some clarity. So I moved to LA, which wasn't far from where I was stationed. And I started my journey at the LA Film School. from day one I got to LA, I had my head screwed on because of the discipline I had being a corporal in the Marines. I just knew how to get out here and pick up and have the ingenuity. I had discipline. I had the engine running already. So when I got out here day one, I started interning for Macy Gray at Paramount Studios on Vine and Santa Monica Boulevard. Walk into the studio, I met this producer that I knew named Jared Gosselin. In walks Macy Gray. She walks in with MC Light, and it's game on. And I had a really cool internship experience with her. It opened up a lot of doors. It opened up a lot of things that I met Run DMC, DMC from Run DMC, Smokey, Bobby Brown, Kanye West, Will.i.am. A lot of people I met through Macy Gray, and I got Macy Gray and MC Light both to come speak at the LA Film School on panels. From there, a lot of people started to take notice to me having connections and being able to have pull and have my own influence. I got a rap gig on America's Got Talent, which was crazy because I didn't really think it was the show for me, because it's, how does a rapper compete with a dude who's shooting fire and hopping dogs through the fire and swinging across the sky like Cirque du Soleil? It's not a place for musicians. I should have been on like the X Factor. I might have won that. But I mean, it was cool just to have that TV experience. You got cameras all over you doing B-roll. You're on set all day long, 13, 14 hours a day. You signing contracts. I had to sign my first recording deal with Sony to be on the show. So I signed my first deal. And just seeing how everything really happens on television, it helped me for the next leap. Once I got eliminated from America's Got Talent, I immediately started at Live Nation. That I didn't see that coming around the corner. I want you guys to understand one thing. Always be prepared no matter what. Opportunity leads to preparation. Preparation and opportunity together will allow you to flourish in your careers. Always be prepared at all times. Once I got to Live Nation, they asked me a lot of questions in the interview, and I hadn't been in any industry jobs other than an internship. And so I just came in, I had my questions ready. I flipped the interview around on my bosses and started asking them questions about their careers. One thing that me and George should discuss is like, okay, when I walked into my boss's office at Live Nation named Craig Evans, I didn't know he was one of the biggest guys in touring until I look up on his walls and I see pictures of massive photos of Michael Jackson and things over here from U2 and all his tour credentials from all over the place. And so I said, this guy must be something serious. And I just took him very serious, and I picked his brain and I asked him a lot of questions. I sat with him during off work hours asking him questions, not even just about the industry, but about life and his journey in the business and how he had even come to be. Because that's one thing about sitting amongst powerful people, is the opportunity to pick their brains and get to know some things. And it's like Craig used to own a circus, and then his circus went bad, and because his circus went bad, he bought a boat, and his boat sunk, and he owed a lot of people money. And then Arthur Fogel, who's the chairman of Live Nation, they started clicking up and got together. And because they clicked up and got together, they were able to come in and bring global touring in. And they brought in Jay-Z and Madonna and Nickelback and Lady Gaga and Sting and Rush and all these people that I ended up getting to work with on their tours. And so I thought it was really cool that to be with promoters who've been promoting since the 80s, who really got started with the big, huge Super World Tours. And these guys are like number 1 and 2 in the company. And so I really, really, really became a sponge. I listened to all the information that came. I read contracts. I read all the emails. I read all the deal clauses. I would sit with I would have my coffee in the morning, like in this hand, and I would have my contracts right here, and I would just sit and read deal clauses that I didn't even know and be like, what's this clause? What's that clause? What's this mean? What's that mean? And these guys were really open and answering my questions. And so I learned a lot about contracts. I ended up going from Live Nation to Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z's company that Live Nation did the deal with. So while I was on the Jay-Z Justin Timberlake tour, it was brought to my attention to have the opportunity to work with Jay-Z, who's like my idol. And so I took the opportunity. I became a junior manager. I started to manage electronic musicians because it was at the time in like 2013, EDM was getting really, really, really huge. And so in Jay-Z's company, he had Calvin Harris and deadmau5 and Nero and Rehab and a few other really big guys who've gone to even become even bigger. My first client was GTA. GTA were a DJ duo who ended up being really successful. At the time, nobody really knew who they were, but they were opening up on Rihanna's tour, which I had worked on the Live Nation side. So I went from working on the tour on the Live Nation side and production to immediately jumping onto the artist management side, working with the DJs who were opening up for Rihanna and continuing. So I did that tour all over the world from two different perspectives. And from both of those perspectives, I got to deal with the traveling, the flights, the hotels, the itinerary of the artists. That's on the management side. On the production side, I'm dealing with the staging, the lighting, the rigging, the trucking, the video guys, the front of house guys, the venue guys, making sure that the VIP parties are in place. I helped the Budweiser sponsorship. So with Budweiser, when they came in, they put their name on the tickets. They also put their beverage in the concourse. They also set up and had an after party after the show for just industry professionals who came in and knew Rihanna. So I was a part of some really, really, really big components that go into touring. And then on the management end, once you get into management, it's a whole different ball game, because now you're dealing with the artists, you're dealing with their agents, their managers, their co-managers, their girlfriends, boyfriends, their mothers, fathers, anybody that's attached to the artist. Now you basically become the liaison between that person and everybody else in their team. And so with that, it was really cool because there was this app that came across called Master Tour. And with Master Tour, you can take the app and the software, and you and the entire team could tap in and plug in on this app together. And this app becomes like basically the centralized heartbeat for all things management and artists. And so I put the entire company up on this app, go through, make sure all the other managers and junior managers have the app on their phone, speaking with the CEO of the company who put the app together, developers, speaking with the artists, making sure that everybody's up and running. And once everybody's up and running, then boom, everything's flowing on a whole different level. And that's something that I helped out do. And I'm telling you, being in this industry, being on the forefront of technology, being on the forefront of music, being on the forefront of being an influencer. Now I've got my own company called 30 Dark Zero Records, 30 Dark Zero Management. I also have a festival, 30 Dark Zero Festival, which I'll be launching next year, along with Joe Claire. Joe Claire was with BET for a long time. He helped start Rap City. And so it's just been really, 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 really cool seeing my career come together, seeing the careers of some of the biggest artists in the world come together, seeing them grow, and being a part of the team and growing with the team as well. It's just been a really cool journey.
Now, Rob, how did you know?
It was interesting. Most people at a junior level, new guys in the company, they're not even worried about that. Why did you know that's important?
There was a book I read called You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Patton. And I read the book when I was 14 years old the first time I read it. Donald had come to Detroit, and my godfather had gone to a conference, and when he came back, he brought me this really big book like this thick and was like, read this. And so I read it. And when I read the book, it literally tells you all you need to know about the music business. So I kind of came in, when I was 14, 15 years old, I just was really, really real about the business. And so once I got fully into the business, well, I was 10 years later, I was already running. I need to know this. I need to know that. What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? A lot of people don't ask questions. They just take them. You assume because you have a lawyer that your lawyer is not in the pocket of the music business and that he's got your best interest. But wrong. It's the other way around. The lawyer is in the pocket of the music business, even though he's assigned to you and you pay him his retainer. There's certain things he's still going to leave you in the gray about, or she. So you have to take it upon yourself to sit and read the contract and highlight everything that you don't understand, and then send that back to your attorney and go, look, I didn't understand these deal clauses. Can you please break these down to me? This is why you're getting paid by the hour, or why you have this big $10,000 retainer that I paid you. So you also have to be just as informed, and that keeps you on top of everyone. That lets you know everybody's job, everybody's job. And now that you know everybody's job, you know how to stay on top of everybody, because this is your career. This is no one's careers but yours. So it's no one's responsibility or obligation to know more information about this than you. So that was the mindset that I came in with, and that's why I would sit and read contracts and deal clauses.
That's awesome, dude. When you mentioned when you saw
Macy Gray, these people walk in the room. Obviously, we have a decision to make. You could have a fanboy moment, or you could be a professional. What went through your head, and then what was your strategy on how you handled that relationship until they actually liked you without being a fanboy?
When I was at the LA Film School, one of the things that the instructors always repeated is, don't walk into these rooms and be an idiot. So because I knew that firsthand, and someone had told me that, it was another intern told me he walked into the Lady Gaga session and changed the temperature in the room and got kicked out of the room because he assumed that he could do that. And it was like, when I learned that, they were like, these artists are really sensitive about, like, they're not normal people. And so I knew that going in. And so when I walked into the room with Macy Gray, I just sat there and chilled. I let Macy talk to me. And when Macy talked to me, I feel like it was that don't speak until you're spoken to thing, and she respected that. Then I got to start having conversations with Macy and with MC Lyte. And even when she would bring other artists in the room, like Kanye West or will.i.am or Bobby Brown or DMC or whoever she would decide to bring in the room, I would sit there and be quiet till they spoke to me, or until she introduced me to that person, like, hey, this is my intern Rob. Now you got to go ahead. Now you can speak. Because a lot of, hey, I'm telling you, somebody like Jay-Z, you walk up and speak to Jay, Jay's gonna be like, yo, who's this dude? Get him out of here. You know what I mean? You can't just walk up to certain people and talk to people, because they will tell you to get out of there. Beat it, kid. Like you haven't earned enough. You haven't earned enough of who you are in the industry to speak to me. And that may be applicable in the film side too. I'm not sure if you can just walk up to Steven Spielberg and just say, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And shoot it, and just talk to him, pick his brain. He may be like, yo, if you don't got 20 years in this game, move. So just be very, very, very mindful of who you're in the room with and who you're around, and definitely gauge the room to see if you can speak up or not.
That's great. That's really great.
What could a filmmaker do to help a music person? Because we're in a room full of filmmakers, content creators, producers, people with cameras, people who produce movies. What could this room of people do for you?
Well, unless you're making Castaway, I think you kind of need music for your film. We are like the other day I was watching Uncut Gems, and that's one of my favorite movies right now, and I just saw it. And one of the cool things about it was the music that was put into it. And I've music supervised before. Last year, I music supervised the television series called Sangre Negra, which is launching this year. It's a crime drama, and it's going to be on the El Rey network. That was my first opportunity. But I'm jumping around. Movies like Uncut Gems, like if you watch that movie and you listen very closely to the music and how it goes along with the film, because the film gives you a lot of anxiety, and the music just it was just hitting in the right spaces at the right time and just making the movie go. And that's what I love about watching a television show or a film, is when that music lines up, and it really makes things go, because without it, you just got dialogue, and people ain't gonna pay attention to dialogue for that long.
That's awesome. half of what
Half
we
of the
do.
film is audio. 50% of what we're doing is the audio part of it. And me as a producer, I'm not very good at the music side of things. I don't have an ear for it. So as filmmakers, as content producers, we should know a music supervisor. Rob
Exactly.
Hayes is a music supervisor. He knows in his brain a library of music so large, we couldn't even try to access that. And then from there is where he uses his references to go out and get unique pieces. Is that correct?
Yes, and then it's not just that. You also have to, a music supervisor has to license the music as well. So say you put out a trailer and it's really, really dope and you want Jay-Z and
deep Rolodexes.
So once you
Yeah.
get
We have a question right here from Falcon Pictures. Yes, Danny.
Hey Rob, my question is, how much typically would it cost to get a song on a movie like that?
Say you got a song like No Church in the Wild,
Yeah.
that may run you anywhere. They're going to look at your budget first, and based on your budget, like Rock Nation may charge you $50,000 for that song, or $150,000 depending on your budget. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at, is this something that's big for the artist? And if it's big for the artist needs a big check.
Understood. Saul,
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
same question?
I have a follow-up on that
Yes,
question.
sir. Ernest Serrano, Serrano Studios.
Okay, you're paying them up front for the rights to use a song. Is there any other fees associated? Are they going to be looking for stuff on the back end of it also, or is it just to license that particular song for one part of the film, or do you have the rights to that song for other parts of the film?
Yeah, well, once you've gotten the song, once you've gotten the clearance for the song and you paid them their fee, that's it. Usually, unless it's a song, like I said, with the bigger guys, it may be a little different, a little tricky, like with the Jay-Z's and the Kanye West's. But for an artist that's just been, usually you want to go get somebody who sounds like Jay-Z or Kanye West, who isn't Jay-Z or Kanye West, where you have to pay them a lot and you may have to get into a publishing situation with them. You want to go get a guy who you can just pay $1,500. He's going to license that song out for you to use that. Or there's a lot of publishing companies have libraries where they've already went and got a lot of royalty-free songs that they've paid a fee to the artist or to the producer, and they have a lot of royalty-free libraries where you can go and pick out music that sounds similar to some of the really big songs, so that you don't have to be tied up in the budget. And you can take your budget and use it for other things like lighting and all the stuff that you actually need, because you don't want to be sitting around and you got something ready to go and you're tied up on the music and now you're behind on your production schedule because this guy over here was giving you the runaround about some publishing points. So go to your libraries, your royalty-free samples, things like that, where you don't have to pay the artist that much. That's what I would say about if you don't want to hire a music supervisor. There's definitely places you can go, but your music supervisor will just make life 1,000% easier.
Hey, Rob, what kind of, what, I don't know if you have experience with this, but let's say for an independent film where the whole budget of the whole movie is $50,000, are these people in a position to negotiate? Do they negotiate? Are they willing to say, okay, your whole movie's only $50,000 based on that budget? Have you ever seen people work with a project?
Some may, but not with the big guys. The big guys, like if your budget's $50 grand and you wanted to license, for instance, a Katy Perry record. Katy Perry is Katy Perry, or Bruno Mars is Bruno Mars. You're probably not going to be able to afford them at that budget.
But could you get a popular song that you think people would know the jingle, that's been on the radio, that you know people would resonate with, and you could still get that in there? Maybe it's an older song from 5 years ago or something?
Yes.
Do you think somebody will work with you on stuff like that?
Yes, you can. Like I said, you have to reach out to them though, or you have to have your music supervisor reach out, and your music supervisor will probably have a good relationship already, and because they have a good relationship, somebody may cut you a deal.
I have another follow-up question. It's Ernest again. The older artists, I'm older guy. I'm 53. So like the older artists from like Motown and all those type of places like that, is it easier to get songs from them than the newer artists now, or is it still the same? Are they like still high priced?
Yeah, it's easier to get those records just because they're not a hot demand artist. A lot of the in-demand artists, they just come with in-demand issues. Like, I'm the man and I want this right now. But with somebody like let's just go back, somebody from the 80s, Steely Dan or something, like, they might be more willing to work with you because they want their music to be heard today in a newer audience, and they want their songs to resonate with the younger crowd, and they want to have that nostalgic feeling of I'm popping
Get
again.
popular old songs.
So they're probably going to be more inclined to work with you. And it's just a lot of times they've got publishing situations that may have expired, so that song may be able to be used in a royalty. Like, you may not have to cut royalties back or things like that.
And this is something you would still go through with a music supervisor. They would be the ones that would be able to find that out if it's still available, or...
Your music supervisor is going to know exactly what source to go to, and they're going to know exactly how to get that language spelled out in paperwork, and they're going to know exactly where to place that song in the film. They're going to know they're going to know all those things, and that's why it's best to trust a music supervisor and not go at it alone, just because you just may not have those relationships. And sometimes it's just about the relationship. Like, sometimes somebody who may not work with you because they don't know who you are, but they know your music supervisor, may work with you just off the strength of the music supervisor.
Okay, so Rob, if somebody, a filmmaker, wants to contact Zero Dark 30, like, can they hire you as a service as a music supervisor? Can they contact your company to hire you for that? And what is the cost?
Yes, my music, and that just even with me, it depends on the budget. But I don't charge a whole lot, especially with independent filmmakers, because we are
contact now, guys.
I respect independent grind. I do come in and do the music supervisor work. My Rolodex is deep, and I do know how to make those phone calls and get things negotiated.
Perfect. Any questions out here? JC, you got anything? Saul from Motivation Clothing Line. He's got a lot of branding material stuff for artists, maybe for you, for future things. He throws comedy shows. He does a bunch of stuff up here. So, Saul, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a question about your branding. What was the name of it? 30 Dark Zero?
I'll get you.
I'm back, man. 30 Dark Zero Records.
I'll get you the email.
So management. And then there's 30 Dark Zero Festival.
30 Dark Zero Festival.
Yes. So it's 3 different companies, but we're all one. But I just got 3 different spaces where I work at. The management space is, of course, for artist management. The record company is where I do my signing of artists. It's also where I do my music supervision. And then the festival is the festival.
Okay. So they're all tied in, though, right?
Yes, they're all 30 Dark Zero.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, we've got producer John Duffy. He's been producer of 35 feature films. He was our guest speaker here. He's got a question for you, sir.
Yes, hello.
Hey, Rob, how's it going, brother? Hey,
Going on?
great stuff. I just wanted to ask, me and George, we're working with another buddy of ours who's a Navy veteran, Mark August, who's also the head of the Society of Operating Cameramen. And every year he's been putting on a program called PA 101 for military vets. So this year we're doing it in January at the American Legion in Hollywood. And so basically it's a free thing to veterans to learn how to become production assistants. And we have a lot of speakers, and we try and use the opportunity to get them employment in the industry, to get them that break in. So I guess my question to you is, if you're available, would you be interested in being one of the speakers there? Because I think you would contribute a lot to that group of people.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. I'm available to speak anywhere. I love coming and giving game and helping people get well informed, because the thing about this business is, if we're not teaching each other the business, then somebody's going to screw us over. Somebody's going to screw you over here or there or here or there. So it's key right now that we share information as independent filmmakers, producers, artists, all of these different things, so that we come up in this business as one.
So we'll reach out to you and just figure out.
Dates and figure out what works for your schedule. It's going to be a 3-day event in Hollywood on Highland Avenue, but we'll get you the information and then see what works for you. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Great. Appreciate that.
Hey, message Johnny
Just
Duffy.
leverage Rob Hayes. That's how
Thank
it
you.
works, baby, right? Is that how it just happened?
Keep that word in your mind too. Leverage. A lot of people. Somebody really important taught me that leverage equals buying power. Buying power.
Getting what you want.
Getting what you want is right.
Yeah.
Equals that.
That is whatever leverage is, whatever it means to you, at the end of the day, you're using it for buying power. You're using it to have money as a tool to go out to purchase you the lights, the rigging, the actors, the actresses, whatever it is that you need to put your production together. You must go in with some type of leverage.
Yes, sir.
On getting music and everything, as like going through you or whatever, I know you say your Rolodex is deep and stuff like that. Does it only include rap music or a certain type of music, or does it go into Spanish style music? Like if I wanted to get something from I don't know, Gloria Estefan or Sheila E. or something like that, does
No, my Rolodex is major, my man. My first tour at Live Nation was U2. So I know everybody from
You
U2,
can't sing, Nickelback,
Yeah.
all those guys, Barbra Streisand, you name it. We can reach out and make it happen. Now, Gloria Estefan, I don't personally know Gloria Estefan, but it's not hard to make that call and make the connections.
The reason I ask is because I'm starting a feature next year, and it's gonna have it's a more the Hispanic it's a drama Christmas film, and there's gonna be a scene where there's two types of music, one on the Puerto Rican side and one on the Mexican side. So we're talking about salsa music, and then we're talking about cumbia music and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm interested in trying to find like two popular songs on both ends to put into it. So that's why I was asking if you're able to dig deep into those areas.
Yes, absolutely. With a lot of people, it just takes a phone call. Like I said, even if you're a music supervisor or like me, like even if we don't have the direct relationship, we call and we speak the lingo, say, hey, I'm this, we're looking for that, boom, boom, boom. Like they're more inclined to work with us because we call with the exact language that they need to know.
What kind of music did you use for the Outright Network show? That's a Hispanic channel.
Yeah, I use Hispanic music and some hip hop music. I know right now Latin music is very big in the trap space, so a lot of the music is the same as just regular rap. And so they wanted the Bad Bunnies, the J Balvins, guys like that. They wanted music like that. So I actually produced a lot of original music for it. It got some Spanish artists from New York City, from LA. Guy from New Mexico. I actually got people to put original music together, so a lot of it is all original.
What about sample music?
With samples, you got to clear those samples, and so I would just say use a lot. Like us, we go to the royalty-free libraries and banks and things like that, and that's where we get a lot of the samples at, because you don't have to pay those guys. They've already been paid a fee by the company who bought the services from them, and then we just go in, and you can go into all these folders based on mood. So if we got an action sequence, we can go into exciting music and boom, grab something out of there. It's already been paid for. We already paid for our monthly subscription, so then we just put it into the footage and run it.
So there are royalty-free websites. You just got to pay a monthly subscription to it.
Yeah, you got to pay a monthly subscription, a premium of some sort. Then you could just go in there and you could pick certain things out. But with Sangre Negra, with this show, he didn't really want that. He wanted all of the music to be originally composed because that's just who he is. And he liked the fact that I came on set one day and was making a beat on set while he was actually filming. And then so he was like, you know what? I like this thing that we're doing, and I want to keep it going where you're on set making the music right here while we're actually filming in real time. So that was my setup with him.
That's what I was going to ask too. Like, if you know, like, okay, like, let's say we knew, like, you know, for this movie that Ernest is doing, I'm working with him on it. Would it be beneficial to have you on set while we're filming?
Yeah, because I mean, with me, I'm one of those people where I like being in the center of it. Like, the most exciting thing about Sangre Negra is when those guys were getting serious and I'm sitting there and I can actually feel the energy from the actors. I know how to take that energy and pull it into the music, put it into the music, and spit it right back out to them and go, look, this is what y'all was feeling, and this is how I interpreted it. So boom. And then they're like, yo, that's crazy, because that, like, I even like to so much, like with artists, with music artists, if they come in, like if I got a rapper and he raps over the beat, I go back to the beat and I start to compose things around his words. I do the exact same thing with the actors and the actresses. Like, I like to make certain elements of the music pop as they pop. So if I got an actor and he's turning up on somebody, I want the song to turn up as he turns up and then turn back down as he turns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the really cool thing about having a producer, your music supervisor on the set with you.
Question for Mike? Yeah, Mike Rinaldi, screenwriter
And producer. In terms of Alvaro Rodriguez, he used to happen to know. My question is, not everybody in the room may know that a lot of the innovations in entertainment business occur in music before it reaches Hollywood.
Yes.
Are there any new business trends you see emerging in music that might be in Hollywood soon?
Good question. One of the things that I see emerging is that the artists themselves are getting roles in the films, and then they're bringing their teams along, and then their teams are like producing the soundtracks, which is really, really cool. Or like a record company is just outright producing a soundtrack. One of the really, really cool things that I saw, and I've seen it in 1 and now I'm seeing it happen in 2, or maybe I'm not supposed to say that yet, Black Panther. So Top Dog Entertainment took that whole soundtrack and they got the composer, I think his name is Ludwig van Gorensen or something like that. So the composer, the music supervisors, and Top Dog Entertainment, they all got together and put together the sound and the soundtrack and everything and then they got the massive hit out of it, All of the Stars and Pray For Me. Those went and became Grammy nominated songs. And so what I'm seeing now is that entire camps are taking on movies and then showcasing all of their artists and all of their producers in the film and in the soundtrack. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, like you mentioned Uncut Gems, which I saw. That gave me more anxiety than any movie since Whiplash.
Yeah.
And The Weeknd played himself, and I wanted to say that there was somebody else that did too, and I don't remember.
Yeah, oh yeah, see what I mean? Like, and look at how it was really cool because he came in, Adam Sandler, and he's like, oh, you know, I don't know that guy or whatever. But it's like, we all know who The Weeknd is. And I was like, what? Like, and then seeing The Weeknd perform, and then you kind of get this gauge that this is The Weeknd early in his career. But this is very much not The Weeknd early in his career because The Weeknd is like a massive thing now. So it's just really cool how they tied in The Weeknd's real story into this false narrative, but it all came together because you see The Weeknd performing songs and stuff, and see, that's the really cool thing about movies these days is interacting with the artists. Like,
let me hit on that real quick. Transmedia. You're asking about what's new. A lot of you guys might not have heard of transmedia. It's not part of the LGBT thing. transmedia is getting a book or getting whatever idea and turning it into something completely different. Let's say you watch a movie, and then you like character, his name is Greg, whoever he is. He's like in the third scene, he's a nobody character, but then you write a full world and a full movie about Greg, or you create a comic book series, or you do a
Make a song about Greg. It doesn't matter. Transmedia is taking one piece of media and turning it into a whole another series of something else completely different, and Hollywood's loving that right now.
Like with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper when they did the A Star Is Born movie, they also did the soundtrack. Bradley Cooper sings in the movie, like with La La Land. That was original music. It's been a lot of really Hustlers. Hustlers had Cardi B in it. Cardi B did original music for the soundtrack. There's a lot of different ways that music and film are collaborating and coming together really tightly these days, and I really enjoy seeing it.
All right, you guys, we have any questions over here for Rob? KP, we good? One more question right here from Mike.
So on the transmedia thing, one of the versions of transmedia that we don't usually think about is theme park rides. You know, you got the big Avatar one. And
Absolutely, perfect example.
Not just Disneyland. DreamWorks is heavily
investing in that. Are music supervisors getting involved in original music and song placement for those types of attractions?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure it's the same music supervisors who deal with the actual film. Like I went to the Star Wars park in Disney, and it was all of the music that I heard in the film from the time you enter through into the park. Like you're hearing that music that's going on, and it's synced up. It sounds like it's synced up to film somewhere because you're hearing like lightsabers and all this stuff going on, but you're hearing that original music. And I'm assuming that music supervisors also played a part in that because the storylines go really well with what's going on in the park and the music too.
JC, you have a question for Mr. Rob Hayes here?
Yeah, I have a question. So you talked to us about how music supervisor could help out a filmmaker, but how can a filmmaker help out someone in the music industry? As in, like, how could we like do content photos, or how could we help shoot music videos?
So if you ever have a need for content creation and content producers, photographers, you as a music supervisor, do you keep your own little Rolodex of these independent film people?
Yes, as well. Like, okay, so me as a music producer and an artist, like with the guy that I'm working with on the El Rey Network show, he also has agreed to produce my music videos for me. And other things that I'm doing as well, like with my music festival, I want to do a documentary for my festival that follows from inception to when we wrap the first festival. So just things like that we've agreed to do. And because of that, you know, I may discount him on this or that. As long as we're in partnership and sweetening up the deal. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather still. So just things like that, things that develop just in sitting down and talking to each other, things that he may not have even known that I needed, that he could provide. Like I may need a drone for something, and he's like, yo, I got a guy over here with a drone. And boom, this guy comes out with a drone, and he gives me a good discount on it. And it's because I've got this relationship with this director. Or just any of those really cool things that...
So, Rob, if the people from this room, they shoot you an email, and they give you a little list of like bullet points of what they do and how they can add value, maybe you start working with a newer indie artist. Would you be able to link them up so they can start creating contests or content for that new artist or something like that? I mean, how would it work?
Yes, even if I got a major record company and they're like, yo, we want to shoot this music video, but we only have $8,000 to shoot it. Can you get somebody who can shoot it quickly for this budget? If I got a guy I know and he really needs that $8,000 and he could do all, he's a beast, I'm referring. I'm making that referral and sending that guy over to the record companies, and then they may go on to develop. And then you never know. This guy's price could go up just off doing that one video shoot. Now you shooting at $8,000. Now you're shooting at 30, 40 grand because the record companies like you and they want to keep repeat hiring you.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. I really, really appreciate all this very valuable stuff. And I'm happy that John Duffy brought up the PA 101 workshop. It's going to be a room of 40 military veterans at the American Legion in Hollywood. And what's amazing about that particular workshop is it's a 3-day workshop. On day 4, they're fully trained to go get a job on a real Hollywood set and work as a PA. It's awesome, dude. So I really appreciate you. Do we have any more questions for Mr. Rob Hayes before we let him go? Contact info. Yes. I got his email. I'll give it to you guys once we get off right here. No problem. You guys are in this room. You get the contact info. All right. All right, sir. I appreciate you. Any questions for us?
Hey, I just want you guys to know I'm open to work. Just hit me up. We can spend time on the phone talking, getting ideas together. I'm ready. From February to March, I'm booked. But from March afterwards, everything is kind of open right now. So if you guys got any projects that you're shooting in the springtime going into the summer, I'm game. Let's make it happen.
Start those conversations. All right, my man. I really appreciate you, dude. You're doing wonderful things. And everybody here will make sure to jump on your SoundCloud or whatever else. Once they email you, you can send them your links, and we'll support you on the social media and everything else. You know, it's one like at a time, but the whole point of this workshop was that we already know each other, so we should support each other. And one thing that I like to do to anybody who's presenting for any of my workshops is I like to add a little, it's a conversational thing. I like to add something. And one thing that I think your new business, your new venture, everything could do is maybe create a Facebook group of influencers or people. It's like basically it's a share group, it's called. And this is not for daily posts, it's not for whatever. This is for like that once a month big thing that you're dropping. But as soon as you drop that one big link or video or whatever, that group knows like, hey dude, within 1 hour of me posting that, everybody needs to share it.
Right.
So it boosts the algorithm, and now Facebook lets it go out to the thousands of people because you immediately got 50 interactions.
I'm with that. I'm with having a 30 Dark Zero Facebook group. It's not something that I had thought about doing, but it's definitely something I can get up and get going.
That's what this is all about, because we can, all the people who are not necessarily involved in the music industry, who want to be involved with you, we will be part of that group. And when you drop something, you immediately get a bunch of boosts on that algorithm because we're all sharing and caring immediately.
Absolutely. I'll get that going.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything you're doing. I'm looking forward to building a great 2020.
Thank you, man. We go back almost, I feel like it's 10 years now, man.
It feels like a long time. You look like you're getting younger.
I am getting younger, man. I'm Benjamin Button.
All right, man. Thank you. Peace.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Excellent.
All right, KP, you could cut that. All right, break. Thank you, guys. Let me call this guy back. Did you send him that?
I sent him.